Well, hey everybody, it's Jason from the Certified Comic Shop, and if you've ever bought a comic off eBay and we're like, hey man, this isn't in the condition that you said it was when I bought it, or if you've ever sold a comic on eBay and after you calculated all the fees and the shipping and everything else, you're like, oh great, I lost $14 on that sale. If you've ever been frustrated with the eBay platform in general and just wondered, man, isn't there a better place for me to buy and sell comics? Then this is the video for you. I recently had a chance to talk to Jesus Estrada, who is the founder of GuaranteedComics.com. This is a website that just launched. It's a brand new marketplace for buying and selling comics online, and they are taking direct aim at eBay and a lot of the frustrations that we face as buyers and sellers of comics every single day. This interview was performed on Instagram Live just not that long ago, and I gotta warn you, I believe I was told during the live stream that my audio sounded like I was in a garbage can, and it does. But don't worry about that because Jesus's audio is just fine, and he does the majority of the talking. So don't worry about Jason in a garbage can somewhere else. And again, you're going to want to get the scoop on GuaranteedComics.com. Now, full transparency, I have absolutely zero to do with GuaranteedComics.com. I'm not associated with them in any way. I connected with Jesus a few months ago, talking comicpreneur to comicpreneur, and I'm just really impressed with what he's been able to put together and his mission, again, to provide a better buying and selling platform for comic books. So I'm just a fan. I'm hopefully going to be a seller here on that platform soon, which is a whole nother story, a whole nother video. But for now, just kick back, relax, enjoy this interview with Jesus Estrada from GuaranteedComics.com. Let's check it out. We are going to do this episode of Certified Comic Talk live right here on Instagram. Never done it before. This is an experiment. I'm not really sure what the future of Certified Comic Talk, the audio podcast, is. Does it live on as an audio-only podcast, or does it mature and grow up and become a video show? I've been kicking around a few different ideas. Just going to try a bunch of different ones out to see what makes the most sense, and this is one of them. And you can see I already have a friend here today, and I'm so excited. I'm not flying solo. I have a guest. I'm going to be joined by a fellow comicpreneur. Jesus Estrada is here. He is the founder, the owner, the digital father, if you will, of GuaranteedComics.com. So, Jesus, my man.
What's going on, Jason? I'm doing good, man. It's been a long day. But launch day couldn't have gone any worse, but any better at the same time. So it's been good. It's been good. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Oh man, it's been a crazy week. This is a great way to wrap it up. I'm so glad we got a chance to connect. So today it's an exciting day, and I want to tell everybody about what's happened. So today was launch day for GuaranteedComics.com, a brand new website that is live right now.
Right now.
And I want to talk more about that. But, everything, when I have a guest on the show, I always just like to back it way up. Let's just take it way back in the way back machine to talk about comic books first. Give me a little bit of your origin story, Jesus, with comic books.
With comic books, so, I grew up I was born in the mid-'80s, so I grew up in the 90s, and I was that kid that would wait till Saturday to watch the new X-Men, came after school, watched Batman the Animated Series. And then when I started getting a little bit older, I was probably 10 or 11, maybe 12. I went to work with my dad in the summer, and we would always stop at the gas station. At the gas station, they had comic books. And I remember the first comic book I got was, I don't remember exactly the issue, but it was a Ghost Rider comic book. And I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. A flaming skull on a bike, like with chains. What more do you want? So I remember reading it on the way home, and I was just in awe. And as soon as I got home, my mom grabbed it from me and threw it in the trash and said, "That's not going to be allowed in this household." So she threw it in the trash, and I stopped with comic books there. Later on in life, I guess like everyone does, I guess when you get to a point, you have a decent job and you have a little bit more money, you start going back to what you didn't have when you were younger. And that's when I really started getting into comic books even more and collecting more. I started back in 2009, 2010 with The Blackest Night from DC. Yeah. And I read that whole thing. I ate it up. And then I started collecting and trying to go after, first appearances and things of that nature. And it's been like that for the past 10, 11 years now, just trying to collect and just grow slowly. But I forget. I put it on the back burner. Life gets in the way. But that's kind of the origin story, man. I had a Ghost Rider comic book that I was so excited about. And I got home and it was just, the fire was extinguished right there.
Literally, your mom extinguished your fire.
fashion. That's crazy. Ghost Rider in the 90s was where it was at, man. That was just between Ghost Rider, Wolverine, Spider-Man. That was like the big three of the early 90s, for me at any rate, for a lot of fans. So, all right, so let's talk about this. So you just launched a brand new website today, guaranteedcomics.com. Tell me about this. Tell me about just the origin of the idea. You're a fellow comicpreneur like I am, and I always like to hear people's stories. I was like, hey, when did that bug get in your head that you wanted to do something big, something not just, hustle on Instagram or Facebook or eBay? You wanted to do something else and really build something pretty unique in this industry. Tell me about Guaranteed Comics, how it happened.
So the way it happened, I probably got the idea probably about 5 or 6 years ago, if I'm being honest. And it was just because, like I mentioned, I was buying first appearances. I was going to conventions. There's a couple big conventions here. I'm from Houston. If you can see the hat, I know a lot of people might not like the Astros, but they're the home team. So
cheaters.
I got
dirty.
I mean, if everybody's doing it, and if you're not cheating, you're not trying. So I mean, that's kind of the go-to line. But yeah, so I would go to a lot of shows. I go to a lot of shops, and just I didn't really know too much about grading at the time, and I was just buying the comic books because I thought they were cool. And I would look on eBay, and I'd buy some from eBay that were harder to find around, and then they'd come in and they were torn on the side, or they weren't like, I mean, on eBay you could take the pictures of a certain angle and just kind of hide stuff. And at that time too, I started getting my brother. I have a younger brother who's 10 years younger than me, into collecting as well, and he had some of those same issues when he was buying. Like he wanted to say, hey, look, did you know about this issue? Because trying to show me, his older brother, something, and then the issue was torn or what have you. And we just had a lot of those issues, and I started researching, and I realized that it's something that goes on in the community. That's why they started slabbing, because people wanted to make sure that they had that grade or the certain condition of it, and that it was marked jewelers, or it had the Marvel value stamp, or it was complete, or no restoration, or all that jazz. And I mean, you got things online as far back. I think I did some research as far back as like 2003, 2004 on forums saying that's an eBay in your mint, which, it's kind of a funny thing to say. Like, you go to eBay, sure, you're going to get an eBay in your mint, And I kind of wanted, like, the wheels just started turning. I'm like, man, how can you, fix that? How can you fix that? And then I saw some other different type of websites that launched that were more for shoes. I didn't get Jordans when I was little, so I also collect Jordans. So I have a bunch of Jordans in my closet right now. And they have one called, like a StockX or a GOAT, and it's kind of the same thing. It's somebody in the middle that makes sure that you get a real, authentic thing, whatever it is, whether it's a shoe, whatever, it's real. And that's what I wanted to do, because there's not one for the comic book community. And so I started, formulating a plan and trying to figure out the ins and outs of how to do it. And I did it. I figured it out. But at that time, I was working about 80 hours a week in my finance job. And there was just no way I could commit 100% to making sure that I was able to launch and do good for the community, because I'm gonna need time. Once we go over kind of the details on how this is, you'll see how time, how much time is needed to be able to pull something like this off and do a good job for the comic book community.
Yeah, and that's huge, and it is a big idea. And I remember you reached out to me a few months ago now,
mm-hmm.
And we got on the phone and we were talking, and you told me what you were thinking and what you were already well into it. So mm-hmm. I mean, it was going to be here regardless. But just to hear you take this big step and to pursue it, dude, just warms my heart, because I can empathize with you 1,000%. I know exactly what it's like to have that full-time job, and you got this passion over here that you want to dedicate as much time as you possibly can to it. So Guaranteed Comics, I was checking out the website today. It is looking good, my man. Now, you kind of gave like the, what it is. Tell it how it works. It's a platform for buyers and sellers.
Yes. So
you don't have to worry about the eBay shenanigans.
No, exactly.
So getting something.
It's a marketplace, and that's what I wanted to build. It was a marketplace. So right now, obviously, I'm talking about, the buyers, and there's also some stuff for the sellers that's great as well. So for buyers, it's just that peace of mind. And the way it works is, somebody, whether right now, just so everyone knows, it's all of my comic books are on the site. All of the best comic books that I had, my whole collection is on the website. I once, you decide to become, like you mentioned, a comicpreneur, you have to look at it different. So all of them are on there. That's my whole collection on there, and a couple of newer ones too that I put on there because I thought the covers look cool. And I actually got one from you, the Detective Comics 880. I bought because you had put it on your website. So they're all on there. And so let's say you want to put one on there. You put one on there as a seller, and I want to buy ASM 252, right? So you can go on the website and you can see how many are in stock. So, and there'll be a different grade. So one will be an 8.0, one will be an 8.5, 9.2, and these are the best assumptions that the seller can make based on their experience. We have a grading FAQ on the website, so you can see what's allowed and what's not allowed on the FAQ. I'm sorry, on the grading. And then if you want it, you purchase it. You just add to your cart and you purchase it. Now that's where the fun starts after you purchase it. The seller then ships it to us, Guaranteed Comics. We do a once over to make sure it's the right comic book. There's no funny business on it. And then I specifically drive it directly to our partner that we've been partnering with, which is CBCS, and hand deliver it to them. So there'll be no extra shipping involved. I hand deliver it to them. They have a 2-week turnaround for us, for Guaranteed Comics. They grade it within those 2-week time frame. They let me know that it's ready for pickup. I pick it up, and if that comic book passes the grade that was sold to you as, whether it's an 8.0 that you bought or an 8.5, if it's an 8.5 or a 9.0 or 9.6, then it gets shipped to you directly, and you got the comic book that you paid for. And that's the process for the buyers.
Now, CBCS is your partner in this, and this is something I learned new for you that I didn't know about because I've always been more of a CGC guy. But when you say CBCS is going to verify these grades, they're not slapping them. They actually do raw grading, don't they?
Yes. This is what it looks like. So this, you can look up there, Web of Spider-Man 7.5, and it's a nice Mylar, and it has tamper-evident stickers on the back from CBCS. So they're not tamper-proof, obviously. If you want to get to it, you can get it. But if they do, then this changes, and you can see that it's been opened. So that's what they come in, nice Mylar, and the grade at the bottom.
That's right. And so there was a question. Offwhite.tim says, what if the grade is higher? They get it, no extra charge.
Yeah, no. So
that's just on the buyer for not grading it properly.
Yes.
I mean, on the seller for not grading it properly.
Yes, that is on the seller right now. Now this is, this is a startup. It's me, myself, and a couple people that were doing this for Guaranteed Comics. But this is just the foundation. This is the base. So there's going to be a few more phases that we roll out as we're able to, and as we have more resources to be able to do something like that. But this first phase, yes. So if it grades higher than right now, yes, you just lucked out, and that's kind of one of the points of doing it as well. If it grades lower, then that sale is canceled. The book goes back to the original seller, and then your money gets refunded to you as a buyer. But eventually in the future, we do have some things coming that will kind of alleviate that issue for sellers to not give away the house. Basically, if they say it's an 8.0 and it comes back at a 9.8, I mean, that's a pretty big gap in pricing. And I mean, I don't think that, at least the way I think about it, is they should be able to get some of that for grading so conservatively, some of that difference in funds.
Interesting. There was a question that I saw come up. What do you estimate the turnaround time to be? So I'm on GuaranteedComics.com right now. Like Jason, I was already looking through for stuff that I want to buy. And I see a copy of Avengers I need for my Avengers 1 to 402 run. Okay. I click on buy, I check out. When am I getting that comic?
So right now, majority of the ones on the website right now, which I would say is about 90%, they're already graded. I mean, I've been doing this, I've been trying to launch this for a while, since February, basically. So I've been able to grade some of these ahead of time. So those you'll probably get in 3 to 4 days, because I'm using priority shipping. But the original concept, right? So let's say somebody from California puts a book up and you want it for your Avengers run. The way we've planned it out, it should take about 19 to 22 calendar days, depending on when they ship. And obviously, we're having issues with USPS right now. It's an overflow for the holidays and things of that nature. But the way we planned it out, it's about 19 to 22 days before you get your comic book to you. And again, also that that time frame will go down. I'm in real good communication with CBCS, and that's just what they offered me initially. Initially, it was 3 weeks. I got them down to 2 weeks, but they said depending on how this goes, they're willing to work on even faster turnaround for us. So we're really excited about the partnership.
Yeah, that's a great partnership, and just one of those things that looks out. One of the things we talk about, when it talks about comicpreneurship, it's being able to identify what unique advantages you have. Mm-hmm. Like for me, my personal use, I'm a digital marketer by trade. That's what I do 60 hours a week. So I can use all those skills in building out my web platform. I realize that's unique to me. What's unique to you is you're within spitting distance of CBCS, and so you can build this platform with them as a partner, because you can just essentially drive around the corner and I know it's a little farther around the corner.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it seem like, but I mean, you can get there in an efficient way, and that really is going to drive your business, which is so awesome. I saw somebody else asked what happens if it comes back lower than what was listed, and just the answer to that question was, just want to make sure I'm paying attention, is that then the transaction is canceled. The buyer gets their book back, or the buyer gets their money back, seller gets their book back. Mm-hmm. At this point in time, would it be a feature, or is it something that's coming where then the buyer and seller can negotiate based on what the actual grade is?
That's also in a future phase. Okay. Eventually, we wanted to be able to negotiate that. We want to be able to put, pricing on it where, let's say you put it at 9.2 and it grades at an 8.0. We want to be able to say the last 8.0 sold for this amount, and you can start negotiating from there. So yeah, I mean, the whole point of it is to get books in the hands of buyers, and we're trying to facilitate that as much as possible, while also allowing the seller to maximize their potential profit as a comicpreneur as well. We want to be able to support small businesses like small comic shops, like online comic shops, so that they can continue to provide us with those awesome comic books that we all love.
Yeah. So since you brought up sellers, I want to talk about sellers for a minute too, because obviously I've got on my website, certifiedcomic.shop, that's certifiedcomic.shop. I always got to do that. I only sell graded comics. It's very rare that I'll put up any raw comics for sale. Usually I relegate all my raw stuff over to my eBay store, which is fine. However, I have a feeling I'm going to start using somebody else's website now for that. So as a seller, let's talk about like fees and payouts and just kind of those things that as sellers we care about to see, just to kind of understand what it looks like.
Absolutely. So for sellers, one of the things that I wanted to accomplish was to have an easy and fast way to upload comic books. So you don't have to take any pictures. You don't have to do any of that. You just search through our database. We have a pre-sorted database for certain key comic books and comic books that are selling for a certain amount that kind of matches a threshold, so that it makes sense for you as a seller and makes sense for us as a business as well. And that threshold's about, I think, $75, $85 right now is where it's at. So anything above $75 would be great for Guaranteed Comics. And so the fees that are associated with it is, eBay charges you 10%, and then they'll charge you I think it's like 2.9 for PayPal or something of that nature. So that's like close to 13%.
Yep.
Our percentage is 11%, and that includes the payout or anything of that nature. Like, that's all that we're going to charge you is 11%. Also the difference is you see it automatically when you list. So as soon as you list, you'll see what you're going to be getting net if it sells for that price. And once it sells for that price, it gets taken out immediately, so you don't have to worry about having enough funds in your PayPal or what have you at the end of the month for the big, withdrawal that they do. Another thing that sets us apart from eBay and why this is important for the comic book community is because it's specifically tailored for us. So the shipping for sellers is always the same, because they're always shipping it to Guaranteed Comics. You don't have to ship to Alaska. You don't have to ship to Florida. You don't have to ship, where that weird
sure.
What is that weird one that they use where it goes overseas and you have to ship it to a certain place, and you don't have to do any of that.
Global shipping. Ship it to Lexington, Kentucky, so it can go to who knows where.
Yeah, so you don't have to do any of that. You just ship it straight to us. So that same shipping cost all the time, the constant cost, and then there's no feedback. So it's anonymous. So we don't have any feedback. You don't have to worry about. And I think you mentioned it on one of your recent podcast episodes where the guy said, "Oh, it's not going to be a 9.8 because there's a ding on it," right? So you don't got to worry about feedback. You don't want partial refunds. You don't got to worry about any of that stuff because we're taking care to make sure that that comic book is what it is. And if it's not, then there's just no sale at that point.
Right. And why do you got to bring that up, man? Why you got to bring up things that make you feel bad?
Well,
For those who don't know what Jesus is talking about, I shared a story on a recent episode of my podcast where I had listed a raw comic on eBay. It listed as a 9.2 near mint minus, and somebody bought it. And when he got it, he requested to return it because it wasn't a 9.8.
Exactly.
Like, what kind of world am I living in where I could list something as a 9.2 and then you want to return it because it's not a 9? Anyway, we're not here to talk about Jason's problems. So what about selling prices? Oh, this is a great question from Kika Geek Comics. What about selling prices? In eBay, some people hike prices when it's hot. Is there any kind of regulation involved on the platform side?
I don't necessarily think there's going to be regulation right now on that. I mean, I do see it as well because obviously, I'm a collector. I've been a collector, so it frustrates me to no end whenever they hike up the prices on that. But I'm not a retailer. I'm not getting it directly from DC or from Lunar Distributing or what have you. So we're more of a marketplace, and I mean, if that's what the market is and somebody's willing to pay for it, I can't really regulate that at this point. I mean, I'm open to suggestions on that, but that's just my thought process on it. I mean, am I going to boot them to eBay? And then I don't know. I just don't think that that's something that Guaranteed Comics would kind of regulate, in my opinion. But I mean, I'm open to your thought process on that as well, Jason. If you think that that's something that a marketplace should do. I mean, a marketplace, by its very nature, the market will set itself.
I think, something down the line, it might be a useful tool for sellers if you were providing recommended prices based on previous sales and whatnot. I think that could be a huge advantage.
Yeah.
But again, there's always going to be people. It's like, one of the most frustrating things about eBay, I think, is when you're looking for a comic. And if you're in this every day, like I am, like you are, like a bunch of people watching and listening are, is what the going rate for a certain comic is in a certain grade. And then when you search for that comic and you just see 2x, 3x, 4x times what they're actually selling for, just dozens and dozens of listings, that's frustrating for me on one aspect because, like, from the buyer side, Jason's like, what, are you just waiting for some sucker to walk around and be like, oh, I'm going to spend $1,000 on this $250 comic?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason people do that is because that sucker does show up once a year and way overpays for something.
Yeah.
On the seller side of it, though, I love it when I have a comic that I'm listing at fair market value and all the other listings are 2x or 3x of what I'm listing mine at, because then it's going to become painfully obvious to the shopper that this is, I'm going to buy this one and not the super expensive one. So I think that's just the way it will work out once you start getting sellers into, Guaranteed Comics, and once you start growing that seller base. I think it's naturally going to find its own level. And sure, some people might be higher, might be lower. But that's the beauty of an open marketplace is that people can make a decision. Do I want to pay $100 for the 9.0 or do I want to pay $150 for the 9.4, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then I can make that decision myself.
Yeah, and that's why we want to have different range of grading on there. And I think somebody mentioned something about FMV tool. I don't think I'm going to have an FMV tool. I think I'm going to have a recently sold or the trending on sales. So like in the past 6 months, this comic book has sold on Guaranteed Comics for this amount. And I think on the seller side, you can see, a little tracking data on how much it's been selling for. So, I mean, all that's coming, that's in different phases. I just wanted to get the basic, like you mentioned, the product, what is it called? What do you call it? The product, not the product.
MVP.
The MVP, yeah. The
minimum viable product.
Yeah, and that's what this is. This is just the baseline. This is us getting started, putting our name out there. You guys, and I have a suggestions box too. You can use it at the info box, email box as well. But this is part of the community, and I really wanted to come across that it's going to take the community doing this together because there's no pictures, and so I put a specific thing on our about saying that people can still try to scam this. I mean, I'm going to be looking at each comic book that comes through, and if you say it's a 2.0 and it looks like a 0.5 or the cover's detached or something, I'm just gonna send it right back to you. I'm still have that oversight on it. But and I'll give you guys an example. I put one on there. I put what is it? Incredible Hulk number 180 is on there. and it's a 2.0, but it's really like a 5.5 or 6.5. But a third of it is faded because somebody left it out in the sun for just that one third of the comic book. You know, so Hulk is blue on half of his leg, and the other.
No.
But I put it on there, and it's on the comment section where it says a third of the cover is faded. That's why it's a 2.0, but it presents way better if you just want the comic book and it's, you know, it looks nice. So that's still part of the community. You know, it's not you know, it's something that's going to be organic and grow, and it's up to the community as well to help it grow and to kind of police it like we've been policing on Instagram for forever, basically, you know?
Yep. Yeah, so this is really exciting. So let me ask you this: what when it comes to you know, GuaranteedComics.com, just in general, what are you most excited about right now?
Right now, specifically, I'm excited that it's, you know, launch day, that it's something new, it's different, and it's solving a problem that the community's had. You know, I really love this community. I love comic books. I love the stories. I love the artists. I love that it's something unique to, I think it's uniquely American. It started in America, and, you know, it's like kind of like, I think blues and things, it started here. So I'm really, really excited about bringing something new to the table and solving that problem for a lot of people, because, I mean, I'm sorry, man, but it sucks. You know, when you buy something that's a 9.0 and it comes and you're like, I mean, I don't know if you want to get into it, but we can get into, you know, this web of Spider-Man if you want, and what happened with this one, because this was sold as a near mint plus, and
yeah, let's talk about that.
So this, and I also did it because I wanted to test it out. Wanted to see how it would work. So I bought a lot of comic books online. I bought them from a lot of Instagram sellers. I have a second page. It's called Backwall Comics. If you guys want to follow me over there, you don't have to, but I bought a lot from there just to see what it would come back at. And this book right here, Web of Spider-Man, I just love the artwork on it. It was sold to me as a near a near mint plus. So 9.4, 9.6, maybe 9.8 candidate. And I didn't do anything. I didn't look at it and open it. I just grabbed it. I drove down to CBCS and I handed it to him and say, "What is this?" And then this is what it came back as.
And 7.5.
7.5. So
nice, very fine minus there, sir.
Yeah, very fine minus. So
so I asked you what you're most excited about this. I just want to ask you about this because I'm an anxious person. I get excited, but at the same time, I can also get scared. What are you most scared about, Jesus, about this adventure that you're on right now?
Well, I mean, I'm scared just like any new business owner, launcher person is that it's gonna fail and that, you know, it's not gonna be successful. I think so. I think that's the biggest thing. It would suck for me because I think it does solve a problem, and there's so many cool things that I have coming down the line, like the negotiating, the push notifications, the all the information for like it would be a really cool tool to have. Like if I hadn't done this, I wish somebody else would have done this because I would be using it to make sure that I got what I wanted out of my comic books. So it would suck if it didn't, you know, and that's just, I guess, the biggest fear is that that it doesn't do what I think it should be doing.
Right. Well, I really don't think, I mean, those are valid fears to have. I don't think you have anything to fear, though, my friend, because it is a good idea. It is filling a niche. And I told you this when we talked on the phone a few months ago, and my man Vinny, who was on the live stream earlier, I don't know if he's still here or not, he called me, it's like sometime last year. And he's like, "I've got this idea for you, bro. There's this thing you got to do, and it's exactly what you were talking about." And I'm like, "Dude, that's a brilliant idea. Somebody needs to do that. It's not going to be me because I already got the shop. I can't pivot."
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just like this serendipitous thing that you were probably already working on this when that phone call happened, which is so cool. It's like just to see. This is what I really love about this community. Is that just to see that there's regular, everyday people like you, like me, like so many others who have tuned in today, who are like trying to do something bigger with their hobby, with their passion, and to make this thing. This industry is just ripe for, you know, new stuff that just goes, you know, that goes a different way as people's consumer behavior changes. As you know, we're living in this flipping ridiculous pandemic world, and we're stuck inside. It's like, what can we do to solve some problems? And you, man, you are solving a major problem, and I'm so excited to get some of my books on there. Can I upload? Can I like start selling some raw books?
Yeah,
today?
yeah. So today, I think vendors can go up there today. You do have to, I don't know if you have a Stripe account. We're doing everything through Stripe to keep our costs low. And
Okay.
that's one of the issues that I'm having is I'm really fighting with Stripe right now. On the buyer side, you can't buy anything right now, unfortunately, which is ridiculous. That's why I'm so upset at the launch day itself. But you can upload. You can upload. You can register to upload. You just have to upload. And if you have your Stripe account, you just put your Stripe info. If not, you create one. It's real quick and easy, the way we set it up. And then you can start posting. You can go look through our database. Our database has about 2,650 comic books as of right now. That's going to keep growing every week, basically. And if you don't find one on there that you think should be on there, that should be worth $75, $85 or above, you can send us an email with it and we'll upload it. I think we're uploading once a week right now.
Okay.
And then the other thing of that is the top end right now, we're only at, I think it's $450. So it's between $75 and $450 right now, and that's a limitation on our third party, which is CBCS. That's kind of what they did for us, because if you look on their website, it's only up to $250. So for us, they're going up to $450, and depending on how we do, which I'm hoping we're going to do great. I know we're going to do great. We'll be able to get that limit, raised even more.
Oh, nice. I did just see another question come in from Keep It Geek Comics. Wants to know if an app is part of the roadmap for the future.
I think it is. There's a lot to talk and a lot to say about an app. Obviously, everyone uses app. It's easy to launch. It's different. I know Shortbox is out there for the slab comics. I have some of my slab comics on Shortbox. I kind of want to check them out because I like to support new stuff in the comic book community. The only problem with that, and I have to do more research on it, but I know that there's a cost associated with selling through the app on Apple, which would have to change the different percentages on the cost. So, it is. I talked today to my developer about it, about doing an app, and we discussed it at length. So it's kind of mingling there. It's kind of simmering. I have to figure out how to do it so that there's no extra cost associated to pass on to anybody. But I think it would benefit everyone if there was an app in the future.
Yeah, I would. If it were me, if it were Jason, an app would be way far down at the end.
Yeah.
Way far down at the end. I'm not trying to compare Guaranteed Comics to eBay, but if you just kind of look at eBay, they didn't have a very good functional app until really just recently.
Exactly.
So it's definitely not going to make or break you. And you're right. When you got to give a slice of every sale to Apple or to Google, that can be a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, and that's why, and it's our marketplace is different. That's why I wanted to emphasize that as well. Like the payment is different, how you pay is different. It's not through debit or credit card. We're hoping that it's a a place that you're going to shop for your comic books for a long time. So you create a username and password, and you create your payment structure on there, which is ACH. So it's an ACH payment. It's different. It's better both for you as a buyer, and also for sellers. Sellers, you get the money faster, and there's no chargebacks on there to debit or credit cards. So remember, I was working in banking for 12, 13 years. And with debit cards, it can always be a chargeback for like 2 years or something crazy like that. So, so that's why we wanted to do it. For one, for the benefits, and two, also for the cost associated that ends up translating the benefits for everybody.
Interesting. I like it. ACH. That's something I'm going to have to look into.
Oh, I can tell you right now, Jason, it's way more cost effective than debit and credit, and it's also, if you have you have developer background, or somebody that can help you develop it.
Oh, I am a hack of a developer. I know enough to
get in trouble.
But I have some colleagues who are professional web developers. So
there's this one company called that I really wanted to go with, but it just didn't work out right now. Maybe in the future I'm gonna reach out to them. But there's this company called Dewala, and their payment structure is phenomenal, man. It's like Stripe is good, but they're just a tier above. But I just didn't have the developing power at this time to kind of get that done. But it'll come down in the future.
Jesus, I'm just so excited for it, man. Launch day, guaranteedcomics.com. It is live on the web. Just getting to that point is a huge milestone, and I'm so happy for you, dude. Really am.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. You were one of the reasons too that I wanted to launch this, was listening to your podcast. So I hope the podcast doesn't go away. I know it's difficult for the editing, but thank you for everything you've done for the comic book community.
Well, thank you, man. It's no. What I always tell people is I've learned a lot of things the past almost 4 years that I've done this, and it doesn't make any sense not to share it with people. So I'm an open book.
Absolutely.
I will share my successes. I will share my mess ups. There's a lot of them, and hopefully somebody doesn't make a mistake that I did. So I'm always happy. I'm like an open book, man. I was going to say something and I started talking, which was usually, the podcast. Yeah. So, I don't know about you, but I think this format worked pretty good.
Yeah.
Just a live conversation, comicpreneur to comicpreneur, nothing to edit, no post-production. We can laugh at our mistakes. I can just download this and do what I want with it. What do you think? How do you think it went?
I think it went well. I think it's pretty awesome. I like that you're able to answer questions from people and they can ask real time, which is something I've always wanted to do with your podcast. Like, oh man, I would have asked right here this, or I would have done, I would ask that. And you can't do it in the podcast form, but you can do it here live, and it's more, it's quicker. It's a quicker turnaround.
Yeah, it is. Oh, thank you for loving the podcast. I wish I had time to do more of it. That's the tragic part. Is it's like I get so many people who reach out and be like, "Hey, love the podcast. When's the new episode coming?" It's like, well, I've got 2 like partly done, and this, that, and the other, but I'm just a man full of excuses when it comes to that. Apparently,
my question to that is, have you thought about like getting somebody else to edit it for you?
I have. I've had actually 2 people who listen to the podcast reach out and be like, bro, if editing's your biggest hang up, that's what I do. And I haven't been able to let it go. As a creator, and this is like my own hang up twice a year. That's right, twice a year, Jason. If I'm lucky. I think my biggest hang up as a creator is turning that over to somebody else, But again, if it is going to live on in audio form, I don't think I have a choice but to do that if I want to do it with any kind of consistency. But like I said, I think the nice thing about doing it live, I don't know if I'd do it live by myself, because I've been having much more of a good time talking to you than just making people listen to me talk to myself for 45 minutes live. But I could answer questions. But I like this. I like the format, the back and forth, the talking around. So we'll see how it goes. I'll keep everybody updated. But let's stop talking about me. Let's talk about you one more time. GuaranteedComics.com. It is live today. It is a 2-way marketplace for sellers and buyers. It solves the problem of eBay near mint.
There you go.
I.e., buying a comic book off eBay that's near mint and getting it, and it's a 7.5. Just give the pitch one last time, Jesus. We got a bunch of new people who joined in since we started, so let's let them hear it one more time before we call it a night.
So I'm GuaranteedComics.com. I'm the founder of GuaranteedComics.com, and what we do is give buyers peace of mind that they're going to get the book that they pay for, and we give sellers less fees than eBay, and also not having to worry about feedback, partial refunds, and it's all anonymous, so nobody knows who's selling what. Your arch enemy could be selling you a Amazing Spider-Man 361 and you wouldn't know it, but you still get the book, because that's what it's all about, is collecting the comic books that you want. So that's what we do.
That's right, and it's the built-in security with Guaranteed Comics as the facilitator of the deal, to make sure that the comic is what they said it was, and then you take it in your hand to CBCS, which is right around the corner from you, for raw grading to verify that grade. And if it comes back at the grade that the seller said it was in or better, then the comic gets sent off to the buyer. You're raising your hand. Did I say something wrong? Oh, no.
You just said everything right. I forgot one of the things that's coming down in the future, phase 2 or 3, depending on how good we do. Some people like slab books, right? So there's a possibility that we can kind of jump the line. Maybe let's say, Jason, you bought which Avengers that you're looking for?
57.
Avengers 37, and it's on there, and it's at a 9.2, and it comes back at a 9.6. There, in the future, there's going to be a push notification that says, "Hey, Jason, it came back as a 9.6. Do you want to go ahead and slab it for an extra $28?"
Nice.
And so
that's awesome.
Slab it, and now you get your slab back. And we're kind of cutting the line because, as you know, it takes forever to slap a book with both CGC and CBCS. And we're still in the preliminary talks with CBCS about that. They're open to it. But I think that's another added feature that would be cool for comic book collectors.
And with that, I'm just gonna, you know what? That's it. I'm done. We're I can honestly keep on talking to you, brother. I'm so glad you joined me here today. I'm so excited for you here on launch day. Again, it's Jesus Estrada from GuaranteedComics.com. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Jason.